My dear listeners and viewers, Assalamu alaikum. I am here with us most important problem of parents. Those parents whose child are in growing age, in teenage. Teenage is very difficult age for children and as well as for their parents. There is some guidelines, some issues and their solution. I will be very happy if my anyone or friend could get any solution for problem if the problem is in his life. May Allah save us all parents from such problems. um, Going to the topic, I request my viewers to please like and subscribe to my channel. Now come to the point, come to the video. How I saved my daughter. Complete story. In 2018, my daughter was 14. We are an open-minded family. I always discuss good and bad with my kids from the early age. As all kids, they also play games on phones, etc. I noticed that my daughter was getting conscious in front of my presence around her. Also, I noticed her changed behavior. She was avoiding me and her younger sister. Also, she was questioning all house rules. So one day while she was at school, I checked her phone and I can't explain how shocked I was. She has been chatting with a boy since months. Initially, it was about toys, gifts, games, etc. Then, after a few weeks, conversation was changed. How your parents treat you, don't you want freedom? And then later, the boy was saying that send me your pics, your home video, how many siblings you have, and all personal information. He shared a lot of sexual jokes, memes, reels, which she was even unable to understand. Thank God she denied to send her pics, but he was again and again asking for it. That day was the toughest day of my life. At that moment, all I wanted to do was to cry, then slap her, shout at her, take her gadgets and lock her in her room. But I locked myself in my room for hours without telling anyone. I cried, prayed in front of Allah to help me, and then I made a 6 month plan. My first step was to talk to her calmly. As always, initially, I thought that when I would discuss how wrong it is to trust a stranger, she will definitely understand, as always. And then I will guide her to get distance from him. But it was not that easy. She reacted so aggressively, shouted, cried, and blamed me for her miserable life. Yes, a 14-year-old. There is no abuse in our home. Nobody is allowed to use even harsh words to others. Her complaints were that we never allow her to spend nights at her friends. She don't have her own room. She can't travel outside city, etc. She told me that if I will hurt her, she will suicide. She also told me that he is the only friend who understands what teenage problems are and she can't live without talking to him. During all this conversation, she was shaking and crying as a drug-addicted person. After this alarming reaction, I was so confused and anxious. I researched on this for hours and then I started my plan. Then I discussed it with my husband, but not in detail. Men are just bhakti, and it is not easy for them to calm. It was necessary to take him in confidence because anything can happen. God forbid, even suicide. We discussed that we will be on same page at every step. At first, I was not convinced to take her tablet. Giving her tablet without parental setting was my big mistake, which I realized later. But my husband convinced me that this is an addiction and it is necessary to break that contact. So I talked to her again in a cool and calm tone that for those time I'm taking your tablet because as parents we think you need some time to think and focus. She begged, cried for hours and I sat there hugging her. Sometimes she cried inside pillow and without saying a single word. I used to hug her. I was with her 24 by 7, but without discussing this topic. I saw the symptoms of withdrawal. She was scratching her body with sharp pencil. She cut her hair, etc. For next 2 to 3 weeks, I took care of her like a baby. I showered her with love, took her to all her favorite places and restaurants, bought boards, games, invite her school friends at home, downloaded her favorite movies with her. As a mother, I was so tensed. Hide all sharp objects from home, was crying inside, but I never showed any emotion to her. I loved her and engaged her so much that she became confused whether she should love me or hate me. She was not ready to talk to me at that time, and it continues for weeks. After a few weeks, when she was ready to talk, I talked her in detail. At that time, she was able to analyze her own situation. I told her the consequences and offered her that I can give her anything with parental controls and there are some boundaries. Otherwise, things are not going to change. I told her that I trust her completely and it happens that we misjudge people. She agreed and I gave her the tablet. I can't tell you how difficult it was for me. I talked to her favorite teacher as well, took her in confidence, and she helped me so much. She gave her topics to research and write about internet crimes, etc. After 1 year, she came to me and admitted that you were right. That was the moment I have been waiting for months. At times, I smiled in front of her and cried in washrooms. Every day, I asked my husband, "Kuch ho gaya to?" And he said, "Dua karo, kuch nahi hoga." Love, dua, calmness, and communication were my strengths. But it was so difficult. I am writing all this for all mothers. Kids are facing so much challenges nowadays. As parents, we need each other's experiences to guide them and to save them. I always pray for, obviously, we pray for our loved ones, but I especially pray for my children's. Allah save them from shaitan. Allah keep them in His own security every time. Not at a single moment, but every time. I always pray, Allah, please always keep them in your safety. Fi amanillah. every time I pray for my children. And I think this is only a mother who pray for her children. No one gives any dua to your children. You brought children in this world, so your children are your responsibility. There is you who have to take care of them every way, physically, mentally, ruhani, at every angles, 3D, 4D, whatever you can say, whatever you can understand. Being a mother, sometimes I get so much emotional कि जिनकी माएँ नहीं होती उनके लिए कौन दुआ करता होगा. And that time I prayed for all those children who lost their mothers by any means. आज के लिए बस इतना ही. अल्लाह हाफिज़.